Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews video, and today we're going to be checking out the latest supplement for Warhammer 40,000. It is Warzone Octarius, Book 2 Critical Mass. So this is hot on the heels of Rising Tide, the first Octarius book, which predominantly features a conflict between the Orks and the Tyranids. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take a quick read through of this book, check out its contents, see if it's worth your hard-earned cash. Now, our thanks to Games Workshop for sending this copy for us to review. I have also done a written write-up of this book over on spruesandbrews.com, so you can read that at your leisure. I will be posting a link to that in the video description, so you can check that out. So again, really nice cover, as you would imagine from Games Workshop, really high quality, good production values. We've got the Orcs facing off against the Black Templars, the Imperial Guard on the back there, and it gives us a quick rundown of what's going to be in the book. So what we'll do is flick that back over to the front, and we're going to take a peek inside. So we've got the introduction and the contents, filling us in basically on what we've missed from book 1. And then we're going to delve straight into the lore. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this because I don't want to spoil the book. You know, you might be watching this video more so for, to see if the gaming content in this is going to be worth picking up. So you might want the lore to be a bit of a surprise. But what I will say is it does continue from Rising Tide. We do see, obviously, the Orcs. We see the Tyranids quite a lot. Also, the Black Templars are introduced in here as well. They weren't in the first book. The Eldar continue to kick around in this, as well as the World Eaters as well, which is interesting, and a lot of Chaos Demons, which is very cool. Gorgeous maps, like absolutely gorgeous maps. But again, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I don't want to spoil it. What I will say is it does end in a really climactic battle between two massive beasts. But leave that as a surprise for if you decide to pick this book up and have a read. I do actually mention a few spoilers in the written review. So if you're not fussed, check that out. Although it doesn't really give you a full breakdown of all the spoilers, it does spoil a little bit. So you can check that out. So there we go. We carry on with the lore there and some more gorgeous artwork. Swarm Lord there, looking badass. Lots of text and stuff for you to have a read of. We're then going to come into the campaign rules. So these are very similar to what we saw in Rising Tide. Few differences. It talks about introducing alliances in this one. So great for multiplayer, which is really cool. Your campaign stages are still there, they're the same. You have got some different victory conditions in this one compared to Rising Tide, to see how well you've done in your campaign. But the way it's structured is basically the same as a lot of the campaigns that we've seen in the last few books. Victor bonuses, this was introduced I think in Rising Tide, the last book. So between missions you can, if you so choose, roll 2d6 and see if you get a bonus to take into your next game. All optional, depends on how you campaign master, the person who's running the campaign decides to do things. You've got some predetermined campaign trees, so if you don't want to pick out missions and create your own, you have got some examples here, all based on your different size games. However, and that's open play, and you've got match play as well. Some more match play templates of the campaign, and you also have a page that you can choose to sort of photocopy and print out to create your own, which is very cool. What is a bit more interesting is you've got some new campaign master edicts, I think that's pronounced. So this is stuff that you could do optionally, so whoever's running your campaign could choose to include these. Now, what would be really fun is to mix some of these up with the content from Rising Tide, where you had like the shadow missions and stuff that could be going on when your infantry are in reserve. I will pop the link to that because I've been mentioning it quite a lot. I will pop a link to the video for Rising Tide in the description as well. so you can check that out, because a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, you know, I'm saying, you know, it was in Rising Tide. If you didn't pick that book up, then we did do a video on it. So the first thing that we've got in this additional campaign rules is full-scale bombardment. So during the course of your game, both the attackers and defenders can be doing these kind of like bombardments and dishing out mortal wounds. Almost like, you know, you've got stuff going on off camera, loads of bombs and stuff coming down. And it seems pretty cool. Kind of a bit like Planet Strike. We covered that in a previous video. That was in the last Crusade book. Yeah, it's a fun thing to have. I think the Shadow missions from the previous book was probably better, but it's still a very interesting thing to do. This, however, is cool. So critical missions. So at any point during your campaign, the person who's running the campaign can call one of the missions a critical mission. What you would then do is you get to choose one of these missions. You can have a roll randomly on a d6, or you could pick one that maybe is suitable for the mission you're doing, so maybe lore-wise it kind of works. If you achieve your mission, then you gain some rewards. So, for example, number 4 here, Safeguard. At the start of the first battle round, your opponent can select one character from your army. The critical mission is this critical mission is successful if the unit is on the battlefield at the end of the game. So your opponent actually picks the character and you have to keep that character alive. If you're successful in that mission, you gain 1 Warzone point. Now, if it's a Crusade battle that you're playing, basically character gets extra experience is what that's saying there. Additionally, if it's a match play game, if it's a match play campaign, then during your first command phase in your next battle, you gain an additional command point. So that's an example of a critical mission. So I quite like that. I think that's quite cool, especially towards the end of the campaign, when, you know, things would get quite critical. You can call upon these extra missions, and it's always great to have extra objectives, more things to think about as you're playing your game. It also talks about how you dish out Crusade rewards during your campaign, so additional ways of giving out experience. Something that we did not see in the previous book was battle plans, which I kind of criticised a little bit. We've actually got some in this book, some legendary missions, each with their own deployment zone, their own mission objectives and secondaries. So I'm really happy that these are in here, because I know it can be difficult to keep on creating these battle plans for all these books, but I really do think they add to the book and add to the campaign when you've got these like unique battle plans, and they're all themed around the story that's going on in here with the orcs, hence the names. So yeah, it's really cool. I think you got 6 of these. We're now going to be looking at some of the really tasty stuff, and that is the army special rules that come inside this book. So let's flick that over. So this gives us a brief overview of what we're about to see, explains what an army of renown is, and we go straight into Index Astra Cartographica, basically to you and me, the rogue traders. So we've had a couple of different rogue trader models come out, and they've had rules published within the boxes and within box games and stuff. And what this is an index for basically giving you a clean slate of rules for the rogue traders. It gives them the Agents of Imperium special rule, which is similar to your Inquisition, so you can take one without them taking up a slot within your army. And they also have the Warrant of Trade special rule, which means that they can embark in any Imperium transport. Land Raiders, Rhinos, anything like that, or your sort of transport flyers and stuff. Instead of, because obviously we've had like 3 named rogue traders now, each with their own data sheets, what they've instead decided to do is just give a general rogue trader data sheet. So they still say at the top here you've got 3 different loadouts. So So a rogue trader is equipped in one of the following 3 ways. So this basically represents the 3 different rogue trader models that are currently out. You then obviously, as you would expect on data sheet, all the different weapon options, all the different equipment options. Confirms the warrant of trade and Agent of the Imperium keywords. And then a couple of cool extra abilities. So if you've got any Voidsmen within 6 inches of this model, you use this model's leadership. Voidsmen we'll go on to in a moment. And Master and Commander, if your army is Battleforged, you can include a maximum of 1 Rogue Trader model in each detachment. This model cannot be taken in the compulsory battlefield role slot unless it's taken in a cartographic detachment, because you can take them as a full detachment if you want to take like multiples of the Voidsmen with a Rogue Trader, create an actual detachment specifically for them. So that's cool, and they're quite cheap. They're not outstanding. 4 wounds, 3 attacks, but they're quite a handy thing to have. They've got some quite cool weapon options, and there's a couple of cool warlord traits and stratagems that we'll come to in a moment as well. Voidsmen at arms are like the bodyguards, your crewmen. They've got various weapon options. Basically, these are the models that came in the Rogue Trader box. And you've also got rules as well for the dog as well. He's basically a 1 use item, which is a shame. I'd like to have seen him have his own stat line, but never mind. At least he's in here. And then obviously you've got your points as well. So as I mentioned, you've got your own warlord traits here. So you've got 3 of them for your Rogue Trader. I think my favourite one is pretty simple, but it's the Master of the High Society. So basically on a 5+ in your command phase, you can... each time you spend a command point to use on a core stratagem or a Rogue Trader stratagem, you can roll a d6, and on 5+, that command point is refunded. You have got a couple of other options though, like Duelist. Each time this warlord makes a melee attack, you can re-roll a hit roll, and an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. So they can be quite good in a fight. Nothing outstanding, but that really helps them to land those blows. You've then got a page of stratagems as well. You've got one which allows you to take a warlord trait in addition to obviously all your extra bits. We see this a lot with like Inquisition stuff as well. So you're not having to give up your warlord trait in your actual army, but you could still, for example, take advantage of that Master of High Society. You've then got different types of grenades. Violent Acquisition's cool. So use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a cartographical unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight. If they're within range or objective market, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 causes an additional hit. So it shows them, Rogue Traders are all about sort of gathering up equipment and stuff and finding these rare treasures, and that's reflected in that stratagem. And no relics here for the Rogue Traders, because I think it'd be quite complicated for them to have them with the models that are currently on show. So yeah, no relics for those. And then you've got some artwork there showing them off. But it's nice to have them. It's nice to have those rules in here. We then move on to our only codex supplement in this book. This is the Blood Axes for the Orks. So this is like your commandos heavy option for your Orks. As you would imagine, you've got your own warlord traits. I like duck and cover at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. If this warlord is wholly within an area terrain feature, select 1 friendly boys or commandos unit wholly within the terrain feature. Until the end of the phase, the unit cannot be selected as a target of a range attack outside of 12 inches, which is pretty powerful for Orks. Nice bit of artwork there from fighting the Kriegsmen. Extra cunning, counter tactics as well. They're pretty cool. Some extra options there for you. You get some exclusive relics. Straight Shooter is cool. It's a DAC of 1410, 24 inch, strength 5, minus 1 AP, damage 1. Its ability is each time you select a target for this weapon, with this weapon, you can ignore the lookout save rules. So it's almost like a sniper rifle. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, the unmodified wound roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound. So it is just like some of the snipers that we've got in the game, like the death marks for the Necrons. Fight Detector is like an Auspex scan from the Marines. So it basically allows, but instead of shooting, it allows a Blood Axe unit to attempt a charge with an extra 2 to that charge roll. So if somebody's foolish enough to charge you within 12 inches and you've got this relic within range, then you get to charge them, which is mental. That's a really good relic. You've then got some unique stratagems for the blood axes. A couple here that upgrade your units. For example, this one works on Stone Boys, gives them an extra point of strength, which is pretty good, between 1 and 2 CP, depending on the size of your unit. And then you've got some other stratagems as well, such as special ammo, and basically gives your shooter 4-2 Daka and an extra pip on your AP as well. Again, varies in CP level depending on how big the unit is. So yeah, they're quite a specialist kind of clan, and maybe a little bit harder to play, I think. But yeah, really cool, really sneaky, really nice if you really like commandos. If you prefer your orcs a bit quicker, then you've got the Army of Renown Speed Freak Speed Mob in this book as well. So as with all previous Army of Renowns, these come with some pretty heavy restrictions, but then you get quite a few benefits, and you also get some unique warlord traits and stratagems and stuff that you can use. So for example, with this one, as you would expect, your army can only include speed freaks, wagons and aircraft keyword units, so nothing on foot, no boys or anything like that. Everything's got to be in a vehicle. If you follow that though, then you gain the Speed Mobs keyword. You can use all the sort of tasty content from this book. Outrider detachments give you +3 command point if your warlord's in the same detachment. And you also gain this ability, the Adrenaline Junkies, which basically gives you a 6+ invulnerable save on all your vehicles. If you advance though, that goes up to a 5+. Each time you advance in your movement phase until the end of your shooting phase, it counts as making a normal move, so it doesn't affect your shooting. You do lose your clan culture, so you won't get any clan culture special rules. But as I mentioned, you do get all these, and also you get an extra attack if you charge or if you perform a heroic intervention. So it seems quite powerful. I think that's really good. Oh, and you gain objective secured as well. So suddenly all these vehicles that are speeding around, you know, the shooting's unaffected, grabbing all the objectives, gaining extra attacks if you do charge. Yeah, they're pretty good. I quite like it. You get your own exclusive custom jobs. You've got just the one warlord trait that you can choose from, while a friendly Speed Freaks unit, excluding characters, is within 6 inches. Each time modelling that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll a wound roll of 1. A bit like a Primaris Lieutenant there. That's quite cool. You get your own unique stratagems. There's 6 of them. Blitzer Daka, for example, for 1 CP, use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a speed bomb unit from your army is selected to shoot until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, re-roll a hit roll of 1. If that speed mob unit has the custom booster blaster keyword, you can re-roll a hit of 1 and 2 instead. Oh, that out, charge. 2 CP, proper orcish. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of models in the unit. Each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, improve the AP characteristic by 1. So use that in the charge phase. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. I quite like this. And I really like the new Orc vehicles. They're very cool. I know Matt's got quite a nice Speed Freaks army. I bet he'll be very, very tempted to try out this Army of Renown, either in a crusade or a random match play game. Some gorgeous shots there of orcs. We then move on to some new crusade rules. These are concentrating on the armies that are in this book. Aside from this page, which gives some general relics that you could dish out if you're running an Octarius campaign, and there's something here for I think everybody. So for example, the Orb of Awakeners for the Necrons. You can give it to a Canoptech unit. Sorry, Necron models on this. You give it to any Necron model, and you can select 1 Canoptech unit within 6 inches until your next command phase. You improve the unit's weapon skill and ballistic skill by 1 to a maximum of 3+, and you add 1 to the charge roll as well. So stuff like your Canoptech Wraiths that are hitting on 4s, so they're going to be hitting on 3s. That's really good. You've got stuff here for your Orcs, the second best basher, which sounds incredible. Replace the big chopper or huge chopper. plus 3 strength, minus 3 AP, flat 3 damage. You've got stuff for chaos, Tau battle suits even. We've not seen those in the Octarius books yet, but they've got a crusade relic here. Each time the bearer makes a ranged attack and targets an enemy unit with a starting strength of 11 or more, you can re-roll that attack's wound roll. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Eldar. We've got some antique relics as well for when your units have leveled up. We then go into the more unique crusade content. So for the rogue traders, you've got some specific agendas, 2 of them, that you can choose to gain experience during your crusade. You've got your own requisitions, which includes the Master of Negotiation, which ties in with this archetype curiosity effects. So basically, by using this Master of Negotiation, you can be gaining parts to gain extra equipment, kind of similar to the Adeptus Mechanicus, where you're collecting blueprints and parts during your Crusade games, and you can then use them to craft your own gear. So there's quite a lot of really cool stuff in here to make your rogue trader very, very cool. For example, Water Shroud, unless his model is the closest eligible target, enemy models cannot select it as a target as a target of psychic powers. Loads here to buff the stats, like adding 1 to attacks and toughness and strength. Projectile accelerate, add 6 inches to the range characteristic of range weapons this model is equipped with. So yeah, some really cool stuff to make your little rogue trader suddenly, you know, something to take note of in your games, which I quite like. Now this is cool for Orc fans. Rules for looted vehicles. So in the Orc Codex in Crusade, you can gather parts, scrap parts, that you can use to build stuff that's in the Codex. Well, now what you can do is you can instead use your scrap points to loot a vehicle. So it's got a table here for the basic cost. So you've got 3 sort of different types of vehicle. You've got a looted wagon, looted heavy wagon, and a battle fortress. And with your starting points cost. Obviously, to add to that, you've got like different upgrades and options. So this is a converter's dream, like taking old Lehman Russes and making them really orky, or you know, rhinos or something. Anything you'd want. It tells you on the data sheet what it starts with, so it gives you an idea of what you need to include on your conversion, and it tells you how many scrap points it would be if you say, for example, this model, a looted wagon, can be equipped to up to 6 shooters, but that'll cost you an extra scrap point. They then get a rule, a custom red button. So once per battle, at the start of your command phase, you can roll a d6, and then you get one of these abilities. There's no downside to these, apart from the fact that if you roll a 1, nothing happens. That's your once per battle thing. Basically, nothing happens. But it's worded very cool. Like, for example, this one, Snack Dispenser. A hidden compartment delivers a tasty grilled squig, but it has no effect. But the other ones are all good. So, for example, for the looted wagon, boost until your next command phase, add 4 inches to the movement characteristic. 4 to 5, more Daka until your next command phase. Each time this model makes a range attack, an unmodified hit roll with 6 scores an additional hit. Or 6, you pull a rocket launcher basically out of nowhere and you get a rocket launcher for a turn. So, yeah, very cool. And you can store 10 infantry models in there as well. And then you've got the looted heavy wagon. Again, same again, it tells you what weapons it comes with as standard and what you can upgrade it with. And then you also get a custom red button. Again, once per battle, but with slightly different abilities. But again, 1 always does nothing. And then your biggest is the battle fortress. Think like, I don't know, converting a Baneblade or something. Again, tells you all the weapons that you can take on it. And then you've got a custom red button as well. So very awesome. And that, aside from the glossary, brings us to the end of the book. So I quite like this. Again, it's got slightly limited appeal depending on what armies you collect. If you collect orcs, then it probably definitely is worth picking up. especially if you're really into Crusade. You want those looted wagon rules because I think they're a lot of fun. And you know, if you're playing Orcs, you've probably got a hankering for some conversions as well, and that's only going to help that hankering. Rogue traders are something that you can add to all your Imperium armies. So if you have got an itch to maybe add one and maybe some of his Voidsmen, then again you'll need this book to get hold of those rules. The battle plans are cool, probably not worth the value of the book alone if you're not interested in the armies. Again, the lore is fantastic. I've been really impressed. I think with each of these Warzone books that have come out, the writing has got better and better and better. If you got to the end of Rising Tide, you're probably going to want to pick this up to see how it finishes. So yeah, it's maybe not worth the full price of the book to pick up that lore, but if maybe you can borrow it from a friend, then it's well worth reading. So yeah, a nice book, some new tasty extra Crusade content in campaign content. Very cool. It'll be interesting to see where they go next. They're clearly obviously doing these books to get around all of the armies, so it'll be interesting to see what we see in the next one. Thanks again to Games Workshop for sending this book to us. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as I mentioned at the top of the video, there is a written review over on spruesandbrews.com, link in the YouTube description, and there'll also be a link in there as well to check out Book 1, Rising Tide of the Octarius series, which covers some more of the campaign stuff and all the content that was in there. We've got lots coming up on the channel over the next few days and over on spruesandbrews.com, so please keep an eye on those and check those out. And yeah, until next time, have a great time hobbying. We'll speak to you again very soon. Bye!